Legend of the War here, and today I want to go over hotfix 5.2.6, specifically over the removed references to older unreleased content from our game files. Now, I think I've had a big part to play in this hotfix, and I don't think that's necessarily a good thing, and in many ways I'm taking accountability and apologizing for it. If I had known that my video would have caused this, I wouldn't have made it. And of course, there's always a chance that maybe I didn't have anything to do with it, but I think it's too coincidental in time to sort of say that I had nothing to do with it. But I'll leave that up to you in terms of your judgment. I'm going to take some ownership for this. I don't think it's a big deal, but I'll take accountability. So what I'm referring to is this video here. Secret Amethyst units you're not allowed to recruit. So I made this video 6 days ago, and it got 78,000 views, which in terms of a video, that is okay. It's nothing spectacular. It's an okay video. Pays the bills basically. But it's not like, I bought a new Lamborghini because of this video. No. Nothing like that whatsoever. So the basic story to how I make content, it's pretty simple, but there's a very quick turnaround to it, because that's how you got to have a quick turnaround if you want to make daily content, unless you want to spend 24 hours a day working on it, which I definitely don't. You want to have a good work-life balance. So usually what happens is I sit down to do my work, download save files, I have a look at them. I make a pretty quick snap judgment on whether or not I'm going to make a video on it. And it always comes down to, is this situation interesting for my viewers? If yes, I'll make a video on it. If no, I won't. It all comes down to that. Doesn't matter if it's difficult? No. Doesn't matter if it's too easy? No. Doesn't matter at all. It just matters on whether or not I think you guys will be interested in it. Now, I think that in most cases, you guys don't want to see auto-resolve victories unless there's an interesting scenario. So as an example, last night's video, which was one of the most difficult situations to overcome, to get a clean victory on, which I spent many hours working on. I was able to win the battle easily enough, but get a clean victory, that was tough. Which was what my goal was, to make an interesting video. That video did pretty badly in terms of views compared to previous videos. You win some, you lose some, but that's just what happens. I put way more effort into that video than I did into this one. But it just goes to show you that sometimes you get something easy in your hands and you just can make a video on it. So this person sent in a save file, basically said that there are secret units in the game files, and that they had used a console command to put them into his army and set up a situation for me. And I was like, cool, this will make an interesting video. I checked out the units, they were fully functional, and I couldn't understand why these fully functional units weren't in the game themselves. And so I asked that question in the video, like, why are they not there? Because it'd just be extra content. It would make the DLC seem higher value if there were 6 Amethyst units instead of 4. Couldn't make sense of it. But I think there's been little bits of evidence of these units previously that I had completely missed, but I wasn't paying attention at that time. So for example, if we go back 5 months ago to April 9th, 2024, the Total Warhammer 3 Thrones of Decay announced trailer. If you look at 30 seconds into this, you can actually see this unit here is the Amethyst Ironside Repeater Handgunner unit. It was shown in the trailer, and many people pointed it out, but I wasn't paying attention, so it just went right over my head. Maybe they pointed it out in the chat during live streams, but I wasn't paying attention, because during this time was when my wife was 7 or 8 months pregnant, and I just wasn't focusing on the marketing, because I don't have to focus on Creative Assembly's marketing because I'm not in the partnership program anymore, and I don't want to be in it. I need to clear some stuff up about that one as well. So my plans were with Thrones of Decay was to completely ignore the marketing, just wasn't interested in it. I completely ignored all the early access content, and all I did was, when the game came out, I think I made a few videos on blogs just because they're easy to make videos on blogs. But anyway, I would just focus when the actual content came out, and then make all the actual good content, like the live streams and the disasters and the doomstacks, all that kind of stuff comes after it comes out. And that's when I focused. So all of the stuff around these Amethyst units, I think all that discussion happened during early access, because I think Zerkovich may have made a video and he showcased one of the units. Again, I'm not entirely sure because I wasn't paying attention. And the video went up, and then apparently it caused a shitstorm within the partner program, and he was forced to take it down, and then it went back up again, or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. You'd have to ask him. I was only loosely paying attention to it. I just remember a fair few people complaining about that to me. But I was like, I don't care. I'm not involved with it. Now, in terms of the partnership program stuff, I've been seeing a lot of people saying some misinformation about the partner program in regard to me, which is not a big deal at the moment, but it's one of those things that if I don't nip it in the bud, it gets worse over time. where people are saying that I got booted out of the program, which is actually untrue. So I've actually got the screenshot here from like a Discord message. All of my conversations with Creative Assembly partner program were all in Discord. So here's me. Those of you who have messaged me will know that's my avatar. I haven't changed it since. This is the 20th of October 2023. This was when the quote-unquote blacklisting happened. And this is the end of the partnership. Take me out of the program. That is me saying that to a member of Creative Assembly. Now, you might also ask, why has he redacted all of this stuff here? Because it's not relevant. It's other stuff referring to other things that it would just open up a whole bunch of crap if I was to showcase this stuff. The only stuff that's relevant is this. This is me requesting to leave the partnership program. Now, I think a lot of people would look at this and be like, this doesn't make sense. Why would a creator ever leave the program? Now, the thing is, back then, it would have made perfect sense. Because if you had been around during October of last year, what was going on during that time? Well, that was Shadows of Change, Aftermath. That was, Costs Are Up? That was Hyenas. That was Pharaoh. That was mass bannings in the forums. All of this bullcrap that was going on with Creative Assembly. Like, it was just absolute pandemonium hating on Creative Assembly time. And the partner program was just towing the company line, and I just couldn't tolerate that anymore, really. And so I ended the partnership because it was dragging me down. Being partnered with Creative Assembly can actually drag you down when they are doing a bad job. Now, I'm going to give you a bit of frame of reference for that. So in the last 12 months, I've analyzed how good the channel's been doing and compared that to the previous 12 months where I was partnered with Creative Assembly. Now, I know there's a little bit of overlap because this is not necessarily 12 months ago, it's 11 months ago, but there was no early access benefits happening in the 9th month or the 10th month in September, right? Because early access for Shadows of Change was August, I think. Yeah, it was, August. Anyway, the previous 12 months are at least across every single metric. So views, watch times, subscriber gain, money, at least 10 to 15% better. And in the case of subscriber gain, 100% better than the previous 12 months that was partnered with Creative Assembly that included early access stuff, which also included the aftermath of Immortal Empires, which was coming off of the peak from Immortal Empires. So the previous 12 months has actually done better, having nothing to do with Creative Assembly. So anyone that says, for one thing, Legend of Total War, he got booted out of the program, well, they're wrong. Because anyone that gets booted out of the program usually accompanies an email that says, hey, you breached our rules, like community guidelines. They usually give you some vague message like you were toxic. I don't know. They'll say something. I haven't got one of these messages. But I have seen other people post them. But you've got 6 months to rectify it, and then you can possibly renew if you've done so, sort of thing. I never got any message like that. There was no you're in breach of anything. As far as I'm aware, I didn't breach any community guidelines, as far as I'm aware. Now, if I did breach a community guideline or something like that, by all means, Creative Assembly, send me one of those breaches so at least I know what I fucking did. If I did something. Because I can't apologize for something I don't know I've done. We argued a lot about loads of different stuff here. Lots of different things were argued about, but I don't think any of them were actual breaches of stuff. It was just like creative differences, really. And that's what it really came down to. I fundamentally disagreed with how they were treating creators and also the players, by and large, how they were treating consumers. And you guys at the time also fundamentally disagreed, if you remember back then. And I just couldn't be partnered with them while they were doing that anymore. Unfortunately, not being partnered with them then means not being partnered with them now, which, they're doing pretty well now. Unfortunately, the bad blood runs deep. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. But I stand by my decision to walk away from them then. But yeah, the point I'm trying to make is I did not get booted out of the program. And if Creative Assembly wants to send me a breach notice, it's 11 months late, but you're more than welcome to do so, and I'll be transparent with you guys about it. Anyway, so basically, not involved at all about marketing. Basically, it's just not my thing. I'm not interested in marketing this game for them anymore. I will just play it when it comes out, okay? Anyway, so we showcase this over here, and a lot of people have deduced that Games Workshop had a lot to do with this, which I think is a pretty reasonable take to have, because this is not within Creative Assembly's MO to do this stuff. There's like references to Empire, Total War's naval battles, and Total War Warhammer 3 in the game files, that is, in the programming. So them removing stuff, it's just not within the MO. They usually just leave this spaghetti code in there, right? And I'm sure removing units is not that difficult for them, but I'm just using that as an example. But it is within Games Workshop's MO. Now, if you want, like, I don't have a partnership with Games Workshop. Anytime that I've gotten any like codes or anything from Games Workshop, they've come through a third-party source. Like, for example, I had early access to Space Marine 2. I didn't get that directly through Saber Interactive or Games Workshop. I have third-party sources that basically just send me stuff all the time, and they organize that for me. In fact, I had multiple people sending me stuff about Space Marine 2. So whenever I've had anything to do with Games Workshop, it's always like a person who knows a person who knows a person. I'm not directly involved with them. But somebody who is directly involved with Games Workshop is the Great Book of Grudges, and he's got a take on all of this stuff here. Now, I highly recommend checking out the Great Book of Grudges. He's currently on 98,600 subscribers. I would love it if you guys could help him get to 100,000 subscribers today, because he's been working his ass off the past year, and if anyone deserves to get 100,000 subscribers or more, it's the Great Book of Grudges. So he's a friend of the channel. I speak to him all the time. You know, he's a good morale boost for me behind the scenes. And you know, doing the stuff, sometimes you really do need a friend, and he has been a friend. So if you like what I've been doing, then go and show some support to the Great Book of Grudges. Check out his video. I'll leave a link to it in the description, and chuck him a sub, because he's a good dude and he's got a lot of really interesting takes. You may not agree with all of them. I don't agree with everything he says. I don't agree with everything that anyone says. That's just part of being human. But he's got some really good takes, and he's well informed because he's partnered with Creative Assembly and with Games Workshop. He's got good relationships with both of them, and he does do very well with news and reports on this new stuff very well. Something that I'm not able to do because I don't have the connections that he does. But yeah, check out the Great Book of Grudges. Anyway, he's got a really good take on Games Workshop. I'm not going to regurgitate it, but I watched it and I pretty much agree with it, that it's Games Workshop that have something to do with this. Now, another thing to note, and why I felt the need to apologize, this in and of itself is not that big of a deal. I imagine most of you guys probably play vanilla, and even those of you who play mods probably don't care about these units whatsoever. Whatever. Most of us probably had nothing to do with it. But the act of removing these references in today's hotfix will also require us to revise our active cache of rollback builds, which will temporarily remove the option to roll back an earlier release. With this release, the available rollback builds will be set to 0, and today's build will go on to serve as the oldest rollback version as we release new updates to the game over the coming months. So you will no longer be able to go back to 5.2.5 because that had these files in the game. So there were some entity really put the pressure on Creative Assembly to do this. And by the way, I just want to point out as well, I am not mad at Creative Assembly at all. And I've been really happy with what they're doing as developers lately. I just want to keep encouraging them to do this stuff, which is one of the reasons why I'm like apologizing for this, because I probably caused them a headache and I didn't mean to do it. But anyway, with this here, this is mainly going to affect, I think, people who play with a lot of mods. I imagine most people just aren't going to care about this, which is why I've said this is not a major shitstorm. It's like a 1 out of 10 or a 0.5 out of 10. It's very minor. But people who play with like 50 different mods, there's nothing wrong with doing that. Play whoever you want. And I know some people aren't going to have sympathy for that. You know, whatever. I think you should try to have sympathy for everyone who plays the game and is somehow negatively impacted. Anyway, so they've got their mods, and whenever a hotfix comes out, it breaks some of the mods, so they can't load up their save file. And so being able to roll back to a previous build allowed them to keep playing their campaign while their mods got updated, and then they could update their game later. But now they're not able to do that, at least at the moment. So a lot of people who are playing with a lot of mods, like maybe SFO, this is broken now, and there's nothing that they can do apart from wait until some of these mods get updated. Now, sometimes updating these mods can take weeks before they actually get to it. So some people's campaigns are really going to be screwed up because of this, and that's primarily what I'm apologizing for, because, yeah, I think this is my fault. This is not something necessarily to take credit for. I'm not dancing in the street that I did something. This is like I didn't want this to happen. If I had known this was going to happen, I wouldn't have made this video, because getting 78,000 views is not worth it to have to deal with this kind of stuff. I just wanted to make an interesting video. I think it's pretty innocent. I think most of you guys will realize that. I'm sure that there's going to be a couple of people who play with like 50 different mods who are going to be annoyed at me. And I am actually sorry. You have every right to be mad at me. My bad. I think it probably would have happened eventually because, I mean, the units were in the game files. I wasn't the one that found them. Someone else did. So if I didn't make a video on it, somebody else might have. But I did make a video on it. So I'll take ownership for it. And look, honestly, apologizing for something like this, super easy. Because I am actually sorry. I wouldn't have made that video. If I can go back in time and take that video down, I would. But I can't do that. So I just have to ownership it and say I'm sorry. Anyway, that's the end of this one here. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this whole thing. I'm sure many of you guys think of this as a non-issue. I don't think it's a big deal. I basically just want to move on to the next content, make a new video, and, you know, just keep on going. Hopefully, this stuff doesn't happen that often. It happens a bit with me. But, you know, people send me interesting stuff. You guys find interesting exploits. Like, for example, all the different bugs and exploits that I have pointed out over time, most of the time you guys are pointing out, like, for example, the backspace exploit. It was in the game for ages in Warhammer 2. And you guys pointed out to me, I did it during a live stream, and then I made a video on it, and then it got patched the next patch, right? But I wasn't the one that found it. You guys found it. You told me about it. So I've got a really interactive community, and I love that about this community. You guys find stuff, you tell me about it, and then I cop the slack for it. But that's fine. That's the responsibility that I've chosen to take, and I don't have a problem with that because you get the good with the bad, and I have no problem with that. But yeah, I appreciate all the save files that you guys sent in because I couldn't make the content without you guys doing so. Even if I do reject it, I still appreciate you guys sending in the save files. Obviously, I can't be super descriptive in regard to why I've rejected things. Otherwise, I've got to get a quick turnaround. Otherwise, I just can't get daily content out. Because most of the time, the content comes out literally an hour after I've recorded it. And in the case of this video here, like, I'm already late today. Like, look at this. I usually get a video out half an hour ago, so I'm fucking late with this shit. So I gotta get a move on. Anyway, that's the end of this one. Appreciate you. Don't forget to subscribe to the Great Book of Grudges. I'm counting on you guys to help him get to 100k. I don't think we will get him to 100k because I just don't think that anytime I've asked you guys to go and do a mass subscription to another creator, you get a couple of hundred, but you don't ever get 1,000. But if we do get him to 100k, I'll do maybe I'll do it as a Total War campaign. I'll think about it. I'll think about a reward for you guys, but I don't think we're going to push him over the line. But we'll see. Maybe you'll prove me wrong. Another thing. I did not get kicked out of the program. I asked to remove from the program, okay? I know that some people can't get their head around that, but that is what happened. I stand by that decision, and it has been beneficial for me. If you can't get your head around that, that is your problem, not mine. Stop spreading misinformation, please. Okay, if new information comes out or if Creative Assembly wants to correct the scene, by all means do so, and I will correct the adjustment because I don't have all the information either. I don't have their perspective because they were very opaque in terms of how they were feeling. It was just very, very vague stuff. Anyway, that's the end of this one. Appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next time. Later, guys.